You may know that a bias is an attitude for or against someone or something that is based on generalizations. Let's talk about some common biases that you may have experienced. Actor observer bias happens when we see someone doing something that we've done ourselves, but our explanation of the other person's actions is different than our own. For example, if you accidentally misspell a word in an email, you might not think much about it. But if you get an email with a typo, you could be biased against the sender and think they're careless. Anchoring bias happens when a person holds fast to a first impression or the first piece of information that they perceive about someone with little regard for any further information. This often happens when we gossip about people we've never met before. It can make us judge people without getting to know them. Another example would be hearing about sensational news without questioning if it's true or asking for more context. Attentional bias happens when we pay a lot of attention to one thing, such as a new word you've learned. It can then seem as if you're seeing this word everywhere, but you're actually being overly aware of it, whereas before, you didn't notice it. Confirmation bias happens when a person looks for information that confirms what they have been thinking. For example, Leilani heard a loud noise outside of her remote office. She got the impression that it was a wild animal and decided to research the kind of wildlife in the area. An internet search reveals that an animal did escape from the local zoo, which convinces Leilani that that's what she heard. If she had been open to other explanations, she could have logged onto her neighborhood social media page to see that the noise was from a theater rehearsal downstairs. Confirmation bias can limit the way we take in information and cause us to make inaccurate conclusions. The Dunning-Kruger effect is when a person doesn't realize their flaws or thinks they're far more skilled than they are. Think of a classmate who is overconfident in their opinion, always gives advice, and corrects others, even though they make average grades. This could also be someone who can't admit when they've made a mistake. They might blame others, make excuses, or find loopholes to prove themselves. The halo effect happens when we recognize one positive aspect about someone and only see them as good. Let's say Jamila admires her new manager, Gia, because they have the best sense of humor in the office. They never lose their temper or treat anyone poorly. But Jamila doesn't pay any attention to how this manager calculates daily totals. Sometimes they're off. In the past, Jamila has caught others' mistakes and kindly let them know, but she automatically trusts Gia's work because of their enjoyable personality. While the halo effect focuses on one positive aspect about someone, the horn effect is the opposite. Imagine if Gia was unpleasant to be around, and this made Jamila only see their flaws and mistakes. The misinformation effect occurs when a person's memory of an event changes based on information they receive afterwards. For example, Tyrone is telling his coworker about a meeting she missed. He says, "The presenter talked about data on our clients." Another coworker overhears and adds, "Well, they spent most of the time talking about why clients are important and stuff we already know." Tyrone pauses a second and remembers the presenter's introduction, which did seem to go on for a long time. He tells his coworker that, yes, most of it was on the basics of customer appreciation. To avoid biases, you can be critical of your thinking, so you're better prepared to recognize them. Try thinking through problems using other perspectives, and be careful not to make a snap decision. You may want to map or write out your reasoning and look for any faulty thinking. Research as much relevant information as possible and collaborate with others to get more exposure to diverse knowledge and experiences. It's important to take responsibility to correct your ideas and address your emotions.